Hello everyone, today we are going to review CoPrint and we are going to take a multicolor print with one of the bestseller 3D printer, which is NR3V2. So first of all, what is CoPrint? CoPrint is an add-on 3D printer component. With CoPrint you are able to take up to 7 multicolor or multi-material prints. When you buy CoPrint, CoPrint comes with CoPrint itself basically, 7-in-1 module, a limit switch, fittings, PTFE tube, an SD card, bolt and T-nuts, and finally power supply. Now we are going to set up CoPrint to the 3D printer together. First of all, my recommendation is, while you not fit the CoPrint to the 3D printer, you can easily tighten the fittings to CoPrint and 7-in-1 module. I am going to tighten fittings to the CoPrint first of all. Now I am going to tighten the fittings to the 7-in-1 module. It includes 8 holes and 7 on the top and 1 on the back. So be careful with that. After tightening the fittings to the parts that I mentioned, you can cut your PTFE tubes. PTFE tubes will come to you with non-cutted. I previously cut the PTFE tubes to prepare them to video. So the length of PTFE tube is not mandatory, but you have to cut them in appropriate length that you will not block the head of your 3D printer. When it's moving on the x-axis, when it's reached the limits, the PTFE tubes has the length that the head will not be blocking by them. Finally, I have tightened the last fittings to the out of 7-in-1 module. I want to mention about something about PTFE tubes. The last PTFE tube that comes out from the 7-in-1 module will insert it to the hot end directly, and our recommendation for that specific PTFE tube is 103mm length. So cut your PTFE tubes according to these lengths. My advice to you is, first cut the PTFE tube itself, the last PTFE tube, 103mm, and then cut the other 7 PTFE tubes on the approximately in the same size, okay? Before fitting the CoPrint to our 3D printer, obviously we have to remove the spool holder. For assemble the CoPrint to the 3D printer, I am going to use M5 10 bolts and T-nuts. Okay, I am going to tighten the first one to be sure. The first one is tightened, but be careful that do not ever tighten one bolt firstly, okay? You have to tighten them all together. The second one, jeez, I'm curious what is that. Okay. Yes, I tightened the second one too. Now I'm going to tighten both. Okay. Coping is now in solid position. Now I'm going to assemble the PTFE tubes that I already mentioned and cut before the video. The first 7 one, first 7 one we're going to insert to the core print, and 7-in-1 module. This is the short one. I'm going to cut it with you. So, after assembling the PTFE tubes, we have to remove something more from 3D printer, which is extruder cable and the PTFE tube that goes to head itself. Okay. For the last PTFE tube, I'm going to save it for the removing. I will cut it after removing the PTFE tubes on the 3D printer already, okay? To extract the PTFE tubes from the 3D printer, I have to open it and I have to heat in the nozzle to the 200 degrees Celsius. Okay, while it's heating, I want to mention about something about motor cable, the extruder cable that I already said. The core print has 2 step motors, and one of them is driven by core print itself, but the other one, the extrusion motor, is driven by the 3D printer. So we have to remove the extruder motor from the 3D printer and we have to insert it to the core print, okay? So let me clear my side and I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, I guess you are able to see it. Now, as you can see, this is our extruder motor on the 3D printer, and I am going to remove it. And on the bottom end of the core print itself, I'm afraid, I guess you are not able to see, but you will see in the close view from the camera in the video. We are going to set this cable to the core pin itself. Okay, this was the first step, okay? Again, you will be see in the detail shot, okay? Let's see, our 3D printer is heated to 180. I guess I might be able to remove the PTFE tube. Yes, I remove it. Let's put this to give you a more clear shot. Okay, I simply used my tool and pressed the white section of the fittings, and I simply hold and give back to PTFE tube. Okay, now I have to remove the rest of the PTFE tube from the extruder step motor. I can simply use my hand. I don't need tool for that. Okay, now we can cut the last PTFE tube, which is 103 mm is recommended for our technical service. Okay, I want to mention about something as well. You are not able to see it right now, but the surface of the PTFE tube is not straight, okay? Right now, yes, it's not straight. It has a little bit elevation and it has a little bit angle on it. You have to cut this very strictly tight, because if you not, the filament can cause a blockage on the way in the nozzle, okay? Yes, it's pretty much straight. Now I'm going to use a caliper and I'm going to cut it in 103 mm length. Okay, let's see, 103. I guess I'm true. You don't have to worry about the exact value, by the way. You can adjust this length. You will need actually this length on the core print application. I will be mentioning about it already. But the length, just try to keep the length between 103 and 104, okay? It will be fine, and be sure that you have not noted the length of your PTFE tube that you all cut. It's really important. You have to know the length of PTFE tube that you cut. Okay, I'm going to cut it from approximately right there. Let's see. I guess a little bit short, but no. Okay. I did a little bit too long. Not too much, but yes. Yes, it's between 103 and 104, okay? You don't have to worry about the length. I'm checking the surfaces. It's pretty much solid and it's flat. First, I'm going to insert it to 7-in-1 module to be sure that I can put the PTFE tube all the way in the nozzle, okay? Remember that the nozzle must be heated. Okay. As you can see, it's looking very solid. Now what you have to do is you have to assemble the limit switch that comes with core print to the end of the x-axis. This will give the core print ability to understand when the filament has to change, okay? With the Prusa slicer, the 3D printer will going to send the head of the 3D printer to place the limit switch, and then the head will press the limit switch, and then copying will understand that yes, right now I have to change the filaments. Okay, the position of the limit switch is important, because if the head is not crash the limit switch, then the copying will not modify about anything, and the filament change will not be completed. So what I am going to do is I am going to auto home my 3D printer, and I am going to send the head to approximately 215 on the x-axis. Okay, is it on? Yes. Okay, I am clicking move, and I am sending my x-axis to the 215. Okay, right now I can assemble the limit switch by using Allen key. Okay, I put there's a T-nut on the back of it, and I'm putting the T-nut on the sigma profile. After that, I'm giving a little bit push to limit switch, and I'm hearing a voice, a sound, a clicking sound. When I see that the head is clicking to limit switch, I'm going to tighten the bolt on it. You don't have to worry about the visual right now. You will be seeing a close-up shoot right now. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty much loose right now. I'm tightening it all the way through, because if the limit switch moves, then it might be change of location on the x-axis, and this will cause a failure on the 3D print. Okay, be sure that you have tightened the bolt all the way through. Okay, the limit switch is not moving, and it's, let's see, it's clicking the head. Okay, right now what I have to do is I have to insert the cable that limit switch has to the core pins. Again, this has 3 pins, and core pin has one hole which includes 3 pins. You don't have to worry about am I going to mix them. Okay, let's see. Yes, I have fitted it. Now all I have to do is simply connect the power supply, and after that we are going to do a calibration, a step calibration. Okay, let's see. Yes, core print is alive. When you insert the power supply to the core print initially, or whenever you put it in, the core print makes a calibration, and it's being sure about the selecting cylinder is in the right location. Okay, let's see. It's on the position 1. What I am going to do right now is, actually I realized something on that particular moment, which is, as you can see on the right side of the core print, this speed feed tube is pretty short and it's going very far away from its axis. Okay, what I am going to do right now is I am going to remove it and I am going to place it to where it closes its axis. As you can see, I disassembled this particular PTFE from the right side of the 7-in-1 module, and I am going to tighten it to the left side of the 7-in-1 module. Okay, let's see, it's looking solid. I'm going to disable our step motors. Yes, on the right side, yes, it can reach. On the left side, yes, it can reach. Now, I guess this particular one has a good length. I'm going to remove it too, to keep a place for the short one. Yes, I'm going to tighten this to the right side of the 7-in-1 module. Here. And I'm going to tighten the short one to the left side. With that move, the short PTFE will not create a tension on the head. Okay, it's looking solid. Now we are going to continue the calibration with that. Okay. Now we are continuing with the calibration. As you can see, I have 7 different color filaments on my side. These filaments belongs co-print. You can buy them on our store. Now I'm going to put them aside and I'm going to use one of them for the calibration. Okay. To be more visible, let's use this blue. Okay. The main purpose of this calibration is exactly the same what you did when you are calibrating your extruder, okay? But instead of 1, you have 7 extruder right now. So with co-print, you basically change your extruder motor and the step motor. So you have to adjust each step settings on your 3D printer. For that, I am going to insert a filament inside the co-print and I'm going to extrude 100 millimeters long and I'm going to measure it. If it's less, I'm going to increase. If it's much more than 100, I'm going to decrease the step amount. So right now I'm going to disassemble the fittings, the PTFE tubes from fittings to handle my job more easily. Okay, all of the 7s are off. Before the extrusion, Do not forget to heat the hot end from 200 to 200 degrees Celsius, otherwise you will not be able to extrude filaments. Okay, right now when you open the core print, when we power up the core print, it directly selects the first extruder, and since I'm going to start calibration from the first extruder, I have to change the extruder selection. In core print HMI, which is the screen you have, you have to select the change tool, and when you click on it, you will see a tool. By using a knob, you can increase it. Right now I'm going to select the 7th extruder. Okay, I am going to insert the filament through all the way in, and I am going to reselect the first extruder since I put my filament to the first extruder. I want to core print. It has to hold the first filament. In that reason, I can extrude my filament. Okay, I am cutting the extraction. This is more. Now, from prepare menu in our 3D printer, I am going to click move and going to click extruder, and I'm going to send, let's say 100. Okay, I extrude 100 millimeters of filament. As you can see, it's very slow. Instead of doing it by using 3D printer, you can use your computer, and you can use the other applications that you can find on the internet, which is as open source applications. Right now we have to just wait. Okay, the extrusion is done. I'm cutting my filament from point 0. Okay, let's straighten up our extruded filament. Okay, now I'm using my caliper to measure our extruded filament. Okay, let's see. It's exactly 100.2. Is it 102? I want the 3D printer to extrude 100 mm long filament, but it extrudes 102 mm filament. Now I am going to continue this process all the way through 7 extruder. I'm going to explain what you can do on the second extrusion, and we are going to cut the video end of the second extrusion, and we are going to meet again at the end of the calibration. Okay, now I am selecting the third tool to release first tool and second tool. I released the first tool because I inserted the first tool and extract it. I select third because the second one is released. Okay. It's seamless right now, and I'm selecting second extruder right now, and I'm extruding 100 millimeter more. Okay, the second extrusion is also completed. Let's measure it together. Again, it's 102 millimeter. I'm going to continue all extrusions, and we are going to meet at the end of the extrusion, and I will talk about what we have to do about calibration. Okay. Now I have finished all 7 extrusions from all 7 extruders. I record them between 102 and 102.5. In average, they become 102 as an average. So I will change my step value according to 102 millimeter. You don't have to worry about if your extrusion is between, plus or minus 1 or 1.5 millimeter. For example, in the first extruder you can get 100 millimeter exactly, and you can get on the 7th extruder 101.5. The print will tolerate it. You don't have to worry about 1 plus or minus 1.5 millimeter extraction difference. So right now my step value is 164, but it gives me 102 millimeter when I extract 100 millimeter filament. So I am going to change it as 160.8, which will give me 100 millimeter hopefully. For that I am going to go control menu in the 3D printer, and I am going to select motion. After that I am going to click transmission ratio. At the end of that menu I can see transmission ratio E. This E indicates extruder, and my value is, as I already said, 164. According to my calculations, this value has to be 160.8, and I'm going to change it. Let's see. Yes. Then, to be sure, I'm going to extract 100 millimeter filament more. Let's see. Yes. I'm going to extract 100 millimeter more filament, and I'm going to measure it again to be sure. Okay. After that, all I have to do is inserting PTFE tubes to the fittings, and I have to take multicolor pins, but as you can understand, I have to slice, but I have to slice according to painting, and I have to adjust my sliced files G-code in the core print app. We are going to see what I meant, and we are going to do all those things together. Since it's extruding so slow, I'm just slightly holding the filament from back of the core print so I can understand when extrusion is done. For example, it's just stopped. I'm going to cut my filament piece and measure it with my caliper. Let's see what we will get. It's exactly 100. That's what we are looking for. So now we are going to see my computer and we are going to prepare our slicing files. Now we are going to slice our print on Prusa Slicer. When you set up the coprint application, you will receive a document inside of the coprint document, which is Prusa Slicer for coprint. When you click on the folder, you can see Prusa Slicer and coprint slicing setup and rainbow. First of all, you have to open the Prusa Slicer and then you have to insert the documents for coprint slicing setup. Okay, as you can see, you can use this profile, this Prusa Slicer slicing profile, edited for coprint, which has a bed shape for 235 and 235 square bed shape. Or you may use rainbow. Yes, I want to open as project, rainbow project. This project has slightly bigger bed shape, but you can adjust it from printer settings and general. In the bed shape section you will see set, and I can adjust it to 235 to 235. I will click OK. From the extruders you can select and change your color from extruder color. As you can see, Prusa Slicer gives you a lot of choice in the color palette. I'm going back later and I'm going to place it at the middle of my bed, and let's see. As you can see, it's already painted for you. The two model you will get, it's already pre-painted. All I have to do is I have to slice it and I have to export G-code to my desktop. I'm going to save it as rainbow initial. You will understand why I said initial right now. After that, I'm going to open coprint application. As you can see, we have some values and some buttons that I can click. To mention about those values, the filament retraction length, filament feeding length, and limit switch position is changed according to your printer. The limit switch position is a position that set your limit switch, obviously. For the NR3V2, I place it on the x-axis 215 millimeter, and as you can see, it's already ordered for you. The filament feeding length and filament retraction length change according to the PTFE tube length that you cut for the out of 7-in-1 module and nozzle. As you remember, we cut our file, our PTFE tube as 103 millimeter, and these values are default values for 103 millimeter, so you don't have to change it unless you change the length of the PTFE tube. Right now I'm going to open my G-code from my desktop. Is rainbow initial. Now I'm going to save a G-code, edited G-code actually, and I'm going to say it's rainbow for 3D printer. Copying changes your G-code according to multicolor printing. As you can see, we already give a location for limit switch. When the filament change time has come, the head will going to send it to location X215. This is what copying application does. Okay, it changed the G code so we can take multicolor prints. And then I am going to save coprint file, and I am going to say it rainbow coprint. As you can see, this file format is txt, which is text file. It's created on my desktop. As you can see, I can click and I can observe the inside of the file, and as you can see, there are a bunch of numbers. These numbers are indicating the extruder number. Okay, since we have 7 extruder on coprint, and as you can see, it starts from 0, and the biggest value that I can see here is 6, which means that the 0 indicates the first extruder and 6 indicates the 7th extruder. Why I am mentioning about these is this print starts with 0. As you can see, this means that the first extruder will start working when you start printing. That's why I have to insert the filaments, the first filament actually, through all the way nozzle. The other filaments will be located at the beginning of 7-in-1 module. I am going to show the location, the exact location on the video. You don't have to worry about it. But before the print, you can open this text file and you can see what's the initial filament or extruder that you have to put through the nozzle. Okay, with that, I'm going to save this text file, the rainbow coprint named text file, to copy's SD card, and I'm going to save the rainbow for 3D printer file to the 3D printer's SD card. Since we complete our slicing, we can continue with printing. After the preparation of the slicing files, we saved our files to our SD card to coprint and our SD card to 3D printer. Now I am going to insert the SD cards. And after that, I'm going to select multicolor print menu on the coprint. If you have multiple files on the SD card, you will be able to select one of them. So I'm selecting my file, which is rainbow, and I am clicking it. The print is start on the core print. Now what I have to do is I have to start the print from 3D printer as well. Now we are going to watch the first layer and we are going to meet at the end of the video. The first layer is looking good and the filament change looks solid. So I'll catch you guys at the end of the print.
Now our print is just finished, and as you can see we are going to remove from the table. It's easily removing from the table, and as you can see the layers are perfect, the color change is perfect, there is no mix between colors on the front and on the back. As you can see, thickness is very thin. You can do more layers if you want. I will see you guys on another video.